Hanse, Oki, Namaste, Bonjour, Marhaba, and good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our elected officials, MLA Christina, MLA Raki, MLA Raj, also Councillor Jennifer, Councillor Joanne, Councillor Andrew. I hope I didn't miss anything. I believe Councillor Karen also. Yes, that's right. Thank you for all that you do. And hi to all the distinguished guests and to everyone here. I'd like to sincerely thank the ICWA for inviting me to be the keynote speaker this evening. During my 7 years with Daughters Day, my past 7 years with Daughters Day, I often heard about the incredible work you do, and I have always felt a connection to your mission, the ICWA mission. I would also like to extend a special thank you to Auntie Mita and Uncle Satya, who are here tonight. They have been part of my journey in Canada for many years, and their unwavering support has meant so much to me. And of course, I want to recognize my husband Norm, who has joined me this evening. Norm has been a constant pillar of support, I am incredibly grateful to have him by my side for the last 29 years in Canada, or 30 years, I think. Today we gather to celebrate the incredible women who have shaped our world and to reaffirm our commitment to advancing gender equity. The theme of this year's International Women's Day, Accelerate Action, is a powerful call for all of us to step up and take action. But what does accelerating action mean? It means being proactive, not waiting for change to happen to us, but taking bold steps to bring it about. It means making timely decisions that have real and measurable impact. It's about breaking down barriers and creating opportunities that push us toward a future where equality is a reality. We've heard that our MLAs and our mayor and councillors speak to the fact that we've made great steps forward, but there's much more work to be done. This theme is particularly important today. In a time of uncertainty, the global landscape is shifting socially, economically, and politically, and we must ensure that gender equity doesn't take a back seat. Gender equity is not just about fairness. I believe it is an imperative. Throughout my remarks, I will focus on 3 key areas where accelerating action can make a significant difference: our personal lives, our communities, and our professional journeys. Let's start with the personal action. Action begins with the individual, and I believe it's essential to start by prioritizing education and personal growth. For me, education has always been a cornerstone of my journey. As a young mother at the age of 19 in a new country, I made sure that education was a top priority for myself. Balancing family life with the pursuit of knowledge was not easy, but it was necessary. Whether it was during my undergraduate studies, my master's, my doctorate, and by the way, it's so nice to see Dr. Makandal here, because I did take many courses with Dr. Mak also, or the many certifications I pursued throughout my career. I rarely, if ever, told my 3 children to study. I didn't have to. Instead, they saw me studying. They saw me waking up early and going to the bed late with books beside me. When they woke up in the morning and I was already immersed in my studies. When we visited my in-laws or my parents, or after preparing dinner, I often locked myself in a room to catch up on my studying. And in the end, they took that on. My daughter Brianna, who's 27 years old, is in her final year of medical school. My son Michael, who's 25 years old, is in his final year of his HVAC program. And my youngest son, Nick, who's 22 years old, He is in his second year of law. I truly believe that leading by example is one of the most powerful ways to inspire. There's nothing wrong with telling your children to study, but showing them, living that commitment yourself, leaves a lasting impact. And through that, they made education their own focus. I also believe that education is the great equalizer, and we must make it a priority, whether we are in school, at work, and at home, especially nowadays, in a world that is constantly changing, and especially for women. To remain relevant, we must evolve and be lifelong learners. From a very young age, I was thrust into a life of responsibility, far beyond what most children experience. Born in Beirut during the Civil War, I grew up amidst fear, uncertainty, and hardship. As the oldest of four, I quickly became a caregiver for my younger brothers while my parents navigated the challenges of the war. I vividly remember hiding from bombings, facing days without food and water, and wondering if my father would come home after being held captive by militias. Despite the constant turmoil, I took on the role of teaching my brothers and supporting my family, balancing my studies with these intense responsibilities. Yet, life had other plans for me. When my parents hosted relatives from Canada, I met my future husband at the age of 18, a turning point that required me to adapt quickly to a new culture, language, and a way of life. When I moved to Canada shortly after, I left behind the role I had assumed for so long and embraced the challenge of a new beginning, despite the emotional weight of leaving my family behind. These early experiences, my 18 years in Lebanon, shaped my adaptability in Canada for the 29 years after. Learning to navigate change, uncertainty, and adversity with resilience. Next, let's talk about celebrating action in community work. Over the years, I've served as a volunteer on various committees and organizations, such as the Institute for Canadian Citizenship, also on the working committee that created the Women Advocacy Voice of Edmonton, on the University of Alberta Senate. I've also had the privilege to contribute to the Canadian for Civil Society with the wonderful directors, and I am the past chair of Daughters Day. These platforms gave me the opportunity to advocate for gender equity, for the voices of women who often go unheard. The work in these spaces is critical because when we serve our communities, we not only help create change, but also influence the policies that affect our daily lives. Volunteering and getting involved in community work isn't just an act of service, it's an act of leadership and change. And it's work that I cherish very, very much. It's not enough to just advocate for action and change. We must also actively ensure that our communities are inclusive. This means elevating voices that have been marginalized, especially women, and ensuring that they're part of the decision-making processes. I've spent much of my time mentoring younger women, helping them gain the confidence to step into leadership roles. We need more women in leadership, in politics, and in decision-making spaces, because diverse perspectives make stronger and more effective decisions. Leadership doesn't always mean being at the top. It means making a difference where you are, whether you're driving the work or supporting it. Through all my volunteer experiences, I fostered conversations around gender equity, promoting inclusion, and challenging the status quo. We can create lasting change through collective impact, and that's what I believe in. Now let's shift our focus for the professional sphere. In my professional journey, ensuring gender equity in leadership has always been a priority. Whether it's advocating for more women in senior positions, ensuring equal pay, or promoting work-life balance, I've strived to ensure that organizations I am part of foster an inclusive culture, Gender balance is not just the right thing to do. It is a business responsibility in my view. Whether as a teacher, an executive in government, a business owner, or now in my role as CEO of the Alberta School Boards Association, I've always prioritized gender equity. I have made it a point to listen, to uplift, and to elevate women around me, ensuring that every voice is heard and every contribution is valued. Throughout my journey, I have been incredibly fortunate to know and work alongside inspiring women leaders, women who challenge, innovate, and lead with strength and purpose. In my 7 years at the Alberta School Boards Association, I've had the honor of shaping the association's operational vision, one rooted in influence, collaboration, and impact. I'm proud to say that this vision has not been mine alone. It has been brought to life by the dedication and commitment of many. I'm grateful to work alongside exceptional women and men, whether on the operational side or the political side, who champion gender equity, and to engage with trustees who work for the Catholic, public, and Francophone boards, over 61 boards, 64 boards in total, over 400 trustees who are actually shaping the education landscape. Their passion and resilience have influenced not only the association's success, but also the leader that I am today. Accelerating change and action is a powerful force. As you see, it ignites innovation, uplifts communities, and redefines possibilities. But through my own journey, I have learned that acceleration, if not carefully managed, can also bring unforeseen challenges and painful lessons. While working full-time in demanding roles and volunteering in the community, I opened businesses, Viva Cafe Cafeterias and Viva Salon and Spa. I did so with passion, conviction, and a deep desire to create jobs for women. Yet, when the pandemic struck, I was forced to shut one of them down. Not because I lacked resilience or vision, but because I came to understand a hard truth. What shapes me, what drives me, what gives me the strength to take risks is not the same for everyone. And you have to respect that. I had assumed that everyone around me shares the same commitment to lifting each other up. Many did, but for some it wasn't a priority. And that realization came at a price. I carried the weight of decisions I could not fully explain, bound by the unspoken rules of business, by the need to protect myself, my family, and those who depended on me. And when you're the type of person who wants to accelerate change, who wants to look after others, who wants to support others, who wants to be a change agent, there are times you must stop and refocus. Not on the world around you, but on yourself. You have to look after yourself, and sometimes life forces you to do that. Some things slip out of control, and no matter how much you give, you are left with no choice but to shift your focus inward, to your well-being, to your family. Another learned lesson, when I made the difficult decision to step away from Daughter's Day, it wasn't because my commitment had faded. It was because at that moment my son suffered an accident at work. At the same time, I was grappling with many business decisions. But, and at the same time I was questioning whether I had failed the commitments I had once held so close to my heart. But over time, I came to understand that this is life. We are human beings, and no matter how much we strive to create change, there are moments when circumstances demand that we step back, reassess, and gather our strength. I've learned to see these moments as lessons in resilience, in grace, in knowing when to push forward and when to pause. And no matter how difficult the journey, I've always held onto one guiding principle: just keep going. It is this very lesson that has shaped my life, and it is why I have started writing a book, one that I hope will capture the essence of perseverance. I know Uncle Satya promised to do some proofreading for me before I publish it. I don't know when I'll finish it, but I know this much. The story is worth telling, and the journey is worth continuing. In conclusion, I believe that as we accelerate our actions, it's vital to remember that it isn't just about speed, it is about balance. Action is a collective effort. We need to support ourselves and others in this journey. We must recognize those who champion gender equity, both men and women, and celebrate them. In these uncertain times, leadership is key. And remember, leadership is not always about being on top, right? It is about actually supporting and sometimes driving. It depends on what your circumstances allow you to do. As we face economic shifts, social changes, and political polarization, we need leaders who can bring clarity, stability, and hope. This is a call for all of us to act with conviction, to lead with courage, and to be part of the solution. Finally, I want to leave you with this thought. True acceleration should never come at the expense of your well-being. Real progress happens when we lift each other, growing together with purpose and determination. As we accelerate our actions toward gender equity, let's ensure no one is left behind. Don't let setbacks redefine you or diminish your perseverance. Let them strengthen your belief in the cause. Together, we can create a world where gender equity is no longer just a dream, but a shared reality for all. Thank you.